Welcome, everybody. College Football Week 10 is in the books, and College Football Week 11 is here. I'm Joe with the Game House, and today we're going over 5 things to watch in College Football Week 11. Okay, as mentioned, we're going to go over 5 things to watch in College Football Week 11. There's some pretty big games, so we're going to get right to it. Let's start it off with Michigan's first big game of the season. Now, we are 11 weeks into the season. This is kind of crazy that the team hasn't really had a big game, haven't been punched in the mouth yet this season, and so we can see how they respond. But that's the case with Michigan. Undefeated this season, not been tested. This week, first big game of the season is they travel to Penn State to take on the Nittany Lions. They have plenty of distractions going on with the sign stealing investigation, but they played great this season, specifically defensively. It allowed just 6.7 points per game. Offense, they score 40.7 points per game. A lot of that is based on the running attack they have. Penn State has just one loss this season, came to Ohio State. Wasn't a very pretty game for them. Been criticized for not being able to defeat Michigan or Ohio State over recent years, but they have another chance this week, so let's see what they can do. They've been talented on defense, allowing just 11.9 points per game. Offense has struggled in the bigger games, but they average 40.2 points per game. If they can end up scoring 27, 28 points, maybe they win this game. It's just something they were unable to do against Ohio State's very good defense. If they can get anything going offensively, maybe they win. Now, this is a game that, again, has a lot of distractions with the sign-stealing thing. Michigan's going to want to put their stamp on this season saying, hey, it's not the sign-stealing why we're winning games. We're actually really talented. And they're going to want to break their way into the top 4 of the college football playoff rankings. And this win could do that, especially because it's on the road, which would be a very good win. And Penn State, if you get this win, it maybe gets a little bit of the pressure off a little bit because they have that pressure of not being Michigan or Ohio State. You keep yourself alive for the playoff race as well, so there's still plenty to play for, even though the one big test they have had really wasn't pretty either. Number 2, we have Ole Miss at Georgia. Ole Miss has tallied just one loss on the season, plenty to play for the rest of the year. Like I said, with some of the other teams we talked about, they're taking on Georgia. If they win, they have a chance to stay alive in the CFP race, even though the SEC West is pretty much wrapped up by Alabama. They could lose and Ole Miss could win, but at the end of the day, Alabama looks like they have that thing won. Offense for Ole Miss has put up 38.8 points per game behind a good rushing attack. Quinshon Judkins has been a star running back for the Rebels over the last 2 seasons. And the defense gives up 22.9 points per game, but they're going to have a tougher test this week as they take on Georgia. Bulldogs have improved their offense throughout the season. They're now averaging 40 points per game. Defense allows just 15.4 points per game. Now, this isn't the typical Georgia defense where it's as dominant as the last 2 years, but they're really finding their footing, and they still have plenty of talented athletes on that side of the ball. If Carson Beck can continue to play well, Georgia should be able to stay undefeated as they head towards that SEC championship game. Number 3, we have Utah at Washington. Utah's done a great job. Even without starting quarterback Cam Rising this season, he's missed the whole season with injury. He's going to look for a medical red shirt to return next season. Physical team that grinds out wins. They score 25 points, allow 15.9 points per game, so it's not like it's a great offense. It's not an elite defense, but they do play pretty well. Bryson Barnes has done a solid job at quarterback this year, but they're going to need some big plays to be able to compete with Washington because that's what their forte is. Washington's still undefeated, ranked in the college football playoff rankings at 4. Offense scores 41.7 points per game, one of the best in the country. They're really impressed with how Michael Penix can push the ball downfield for this offense, really create big plays in a hurry. The defense has played well too, allowing 23 points per game. And if Michael Penix is able to have a good game against this Utah defense, it helps his Heisman capes. This game helps their chances to make the college football playoff. Obviously, if they're undefeated, they're going to make it anyway, but at the same time, still want to get these wins and stack them while you can. Number 4, we have Tennessee at Missouri. A lot of games are going over here this week. There's a lot of big ones. Tennessee has 2 losses on the season, but have been playing good football. Travel to Missouri to take on the Tigers in Week 11. Volunteers score 34.8 points per game. Much more run-based than in previous seasons. Jalen Wright at running back has specifically been impressive for them. Defensively, they allow 18.4 points per game. Played solidly all year. Going up against a Missouri team that has some unique offensive weapons. Missouri has had a surprisingly good season this year as they have just 2 losses. Not many people thought they'd be at this point of the season with just 2 losses. Tigers score 32.4 points per game and are led by star receiver Luther Burden. Brady Cook's been having a lot of success when he targets him. On defense, they allow 24 points per game. They could use a big win after losing to Georgia last week. Remember, they played Georgia pretty close. They lost by 9 points. So if they get this win, maybe go second in the SEC East, they could stay in contention for making a New Year's Six Bowl as an SEC representative as well. So a big game here, a lot at stake. Just going to have to see how things work out here. I think Tennessee maybe is able to eke out a win, but it won't be necessarily easy with how well Missouri has played this season. Number 5, USC at Oregon. USC has been struggling over the last several weeks of the season, taking some losses. A lot of that has to do with their defense. Things will get tougher this week as they take on Oregon. Defense has been disappointing, as we've talked about all season long. They concede 34.5 points per game, but defensive coordinator Alex Grinch has been let go, so maybe things will change and maybe it'll get better. Offense is still great with Caleb Williamson, quarterback. They score 45.3 points per game. They're going to need him to have a standout game and likely win a shootout if they have any chance to beat Oregon. Ducks just have one loss in the season. Came against Washington, very, very close game on the road. They need to focus if they want to make the Pac-12 championship game. Remember, there's no divisions anymore, so if they go one loss and Washington's undefeated, they'll play Washington in a rematch in the Pac-12 championship game. They score 47.4 points per game, which makes them the best offense in the country. A lot of credit for Bo Nix with changing his play style and fitting into the system after transferring in from Auburn. Done really well the last 2 years for them. And defensively, they go up 16 points per game. Getting through this game specifically really helps them make a push for the CFP. Yes, they have some tough games down the stretch, but this is one of the ones that you circle on the schedule before the season. And they're really, USC is a threat to just go nuclear and score a lot of points. So you want to make sure you get this win. So big game here in the Pac-12. Those are the 5 things I'm watching in college football this week. Let me know what you're watching in the comments down below. For now, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.